And first here at 5 o'clock, Bike Town not living up to its name. According to PBOT, bicycle riding is down significantly in Portland over the past few years. And this comes after the city changed a lot of roads to create space for bike riders. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Brittany Folgers. Now, the reason for the decline, well, that's not so cut and dry. It could be COVID and work from home culture. It could also be safety concerns. And as the city is grappling with a homeless crisis, record-setting traffic deaths, and crime. Evan Watson joins us live with a closer look at this. Evan.
Hey, Brittany, you might not be able to tell that bike ridership is down if you spend much time at the waterfront today. A lot of people out here enjoying it, but PBOT says that this is undeniable data, even if they can't really put their finger on why this is happening.
So I started riding when I was 10, I guess, you know, not all the time, but yeah, so 69 years.
Cliff Devaney rode down to the Portland waterfront today with a friend.
You think Portland's an ideal city to ride a bike in?
He's been doing this for years. So when asked why fewer people are riding bikes, his wheels start spinning.
I don't know if our population is getting even more sedentary. Are they doing something else for exercise? I don't know.
PBOT is reporting a more than 40% decline in bicycle traffic between 2016 and 2022, including a major drop over the last 3 years.
Bicycling numbers really declined a lot more than we were expecting.
Kyle Johnson, chair of Bike Loud PDX, says the data is disappointing, especially as Portland planned to increase the number of work commutes made on a bicycle.
We passed the Bike Master Plan, which was a plan that sort of laid out how 25% of all trips can be made by bike. And since that plan has been passed, we've gone from 7 to 2%. And so we're heading in the wrong direction, and so we really need to change course here if we want to increase those numbers.
Johnson says Portland needs to make biking more convenient, which would have positive health and environmental effects.
In Portland, we've built a lot of neighborhood greenway streets, which are these bike streets through neighborhoods, but they zigzag around and they're not the most convenient direct way to get to your destination.
The PBOT report doesn't identify clear reasons as to why biking percentages have dropped.
COVID may have had something to do with it. Everybody was sort of isolating and really didn't want to get out anywhere, but riding, you're out in the open, so you know it shouldn't be a problem.
But census data shows as the number of people working from home has skyrocketed, all forms of transit have taken significant hits. PBOT used counters around hundreds of locations around Portland to see how many people biked over a certain period of time and then extrapolated that data out to then estimate daily bicyclist totals, if you're curious about how they measured this. Now, public safety could also be a factor here. Some of the people I talked with said what's happening on bike trails, public safety, the access, things like that, could be affecting how many people are still out and going riding, and something to take into consideration here. Brittany.
All right, Evan, thank you. One person is dead after a car hit them in the crosswalk early this morning on Tivay Highway in Aloha. That crash closed the road for hours between Southwest 174th and 182nd. The victim was crossing the road when they were hit and killed. Their name has not been released. Police say the driver is 32-year-old Emmanuel Starr. Police say he was speeding and impaired. He was treated at the hospital for minor injuries and then arrested. Charges include DUI, reckless driving, and manslaughter. Well, tonight we're hearing from a woman whose car was stolen while she was laid up recovering from surgery. Yeah, you heard that right. This happened on OHSU property. Let's bring in Mike Benner in Southwest Portland. Mike, car thefts are really on the rise here in Portland.
Yeah, that's right, Brittany. Car theft numbers are steadily rising. They have been for years. It's not too far-fetched to say that it's not safe to park anywhere, including heavily traveled streets like Southwest Jefferson, where we are, or as you're about to see in hospital-operated parking garages. Earlier this week, Ashley Sturge was at OHSU's Center for Health and Healing, recovering from surgery, when her car was stolen. It was parked in the garage below the South Waterfront building. The Kia Sorento means a lot to Ashley, as she has a number of medical issues, and it's good transportation to and from doctor's appointments. Needless to say, she was devastated when her husband relayed the bad news to her. Panic also washed over her.
It was more of just like because I had literally just spoken to my doctors about the possibility of going home that day. And so that immediately jumped to like, well, how am I going to get home, or how am I going to get to any of my follow-up appointments or anything like that? It was definitely hard to keep the stress levels down low while I'm trying to recover.
While it won't make her feel any better, Ashley is not alone, not by a long shot. Last year in Portland, more than 10,800 vehicles were stolen. That's up from approximately 9,000 in 2021 and 6,400 in 2020. These stats put Portland near the top nationally when it comes to car thefts per 100,000 residents. Portland police officers are aware of what's going on. They're doing monthly missions where they recover stolen cars. They're making arrests, and now they're actually working with the district attorney's office to make sure these cases get prosecuted. Brittany?
Mike, thank you. New information today on a deadly shooting earlier this week at a hotel near PDX. Authorities revealed today 2 more people were hurt, including a security guard. Both are expected to survive. The shooting happened early Wednesday morning at the Embassy Suites on Northeast 82nd and Airport Way. 2 people were killed, along with the injured victims that we just mentioned. Police have not said what led up to the shooting or if they've made any arrests. Multnomah County has one of the highest income tax rates in the country. Only New Yorkers have it higher than us. And there's another proposed tax on the ballot this May, a capital gains tax to pay for lawyers of tenants facing eviction. While those pushing for the tax say it'll help keep people in their homes, those against it say it's another tax that's pushing people to move out of the county.
Unfortunately, eviction is one of the hardest things to come back from, and leads to chronic homelessness.
Why have a tax on housing when we know we have an affordability crisis?
This May, voters will see Measure 26238 on the ballot, a new tax to provide free legal representation to people facing eviction. It would levy an adjustable countywide capital gains tax, initially set at 0.75%. It's a tax the federal government already collects based on the profit made from selling an investment. Anything from stocks, real estate, mutual funds, cryptocurrency, and other capital assets. Proponents, like Eviction Representation for All, hope the new tax will raise $12 to $15 million a year. Colleen Carroll is a volunteer organizer. She says the eviction process is complicated and difficult to navigate. This measure would provide early intervention before people are forced out.
These are important steps that allow people to stay in their homes and for us to reduce unnecessary evictions through supporting those tenants through whatever the issue is. But it's almost impossible for tenants to do that on their own.
The vote this May has been in the works for about 2 years. The Portland Business Alliance has been fighting it.
And so we got involved because here's a proposal that asks voters to raise taxes, and in large part on housing, in the middle of a housing crisis. And so it's our responsibility to stand up to proposals like this that may be well intended to help get tenants representation, but that impact the very thing that we know is driving our region to a place of unaffordability.
The Portland Business Alliance says the measure would have a dramatic impact on anyone trying to sell their home.
Any appreciation in that home since you purchased it, and at today's rates, that number is growing at a significant pace, you would be paying a tax on that gain between when you bought it and when you sell it.
Metro and Multnomah County voters already passed big income tax measures for the homeless and preschool for all. The next year, in 2021, more than 12,000 people moved out of Multnomah County. Some told us it was because of high taxes and not seeing much for it. But proponents say this tax and the legal representation it will provide is needed coming out of the pandemic, and with Oregon landlords able to raise rents by about 14% this year.
Eviction and displacement is a huge issue in our community. We know that tenants are struggling both before the pandemic, but then definitely through the pandemic, right? Every tenant is at risk of an eviction. We need to be able to address displacement in our community at every stage.
Portland and Multnomah County leaders have also spoken out against the measure. Mayor Ted Wheeler sent us a statement saying, in part, affordable housing is certainly a worthy goal, but I cannot support an additional tax that could have the impact of driving investment out of Portland at a time when we are working hard to encourage support for our community.